Welcome to the latest episode of Platform. Today, we're going to be speaking to Jeff Dalnas. Jeff came up in the era of Rollernews, where skaters basically made a name for themselves posting online edits, and because it was such a popular site, it would lead to skaters getting quite renowned and picking up sponsors. And it was the first era in rollerblading where skaters were kind of able to take charge in that way and getting on companies and things like that, because before that they would either have to be noticed at competitions or they'd have to send out sponsor me tapes, and it could make the process quite long. This kind of quickened it up and gave a gauge of how the public viewed that particular skater. So the companies had an idea of how popular or how well received they would be, before even getting them on the team. And, Jeff absolutely killed it in that era alongside skaters like Austin Paz and John Bellino and David Sizemore, who all just made a name for themselves, just putting out fantastic online sections, and led to all of them being sponsored in various capacities. Jeff basically became known for absolutely killing it on handrails, doing really technical things and just great switch ups. He also became known as the guy that could just do massive kinked rails, especially kinked drop rails. In fact, I want to talk to him about a couple of them today because, yeah, some of them are just nuts. There's one in Vermont that curves and drops, and I think the first time he broke his hand on it or broke his wrist. And then the second time he went back, I think he broke it again, but still kept skating it and landing it. And there's a really famous viral clip of him doing, I think it's a triple or a quadruple kink that drops off what looks like the side of a motorway. And it is just absolutely huge. It could even be the same or a similar height to the one that Carlos Pianowski does. It could even be a similar height to the one that Carlos Pianowski does in VG, in his VG section, but it's kind of tough to tell on video because perspective's a little bit off if you're not really there in person. Jeff skated for Rollerblade for a while, and I'm not entirely sure what happened, but at some point he joined USD and he skated for the brand for quite a few years. He even got a pro skate, and then at various points he was demoted from the pro team. He was taken off the pro team for a while, then put back on, then he got a pro skate, and then he became an ambassador. So it was just a kind of really weird turn of events, and I can't really think of any other skater that's happened to where they've just been moved down on the team that they've been on. But yeah, very strange. Want to ask him about that? Recently, he joined Trigger Skates. Trigger is a brand based out of France, and he's just about to get his first pro skate with the brand. In fact, I think it should be dropping this month at some point, and I know he's working on a promo for that. I also want to talk to him about just some of the controversies he's had over the years. I know that Adam Johnson was not a big fan of Jeff and actually kind of quite publicly attacked him on social media about a year or two ago. And Jeff has been quite vocal about not being happy about the current state of blading or the type of blading that's most popular at the minute. So just want to speak to him about that and find out exactly what he means and what his issue is with it and what he would like to see more of. Basically, loads to talk about. I've interviewed Jeff before and he was nice enough, so I'm looking forward to speaking to him again. Before that though, cue the music. The platform. The platform. The platform. The platform.
Holy
there we
shit,
go.
I figured it out. That was difficult, dude, and I got lucky.
That's quite funny because the exact same thing happened to Eric Shrine. He was the last person we had on, and he was just like, man, I've got this on my phone and I don't know how to work it.
I had no clue. I've actually never done this before.
You never used Zoom during lockdown?
No, I mean, I work in a casino. It was just closed the whole time.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, with like friends or family or anything, you guys never had, I don't know, like Zoom meetings or Zoom quizzes or anything like that?
No, I mean, no. I think even like my stepkid didn't even have. I asked her, I was like, "Did you use it for school?" And she's like, "No, we use like Google something with Google. It wasn't Zoom. I was like, Jesus. So I thought it
Right.
might already be on the computer, but it isn't.
All right, that was like the COVID generational thing. Like everyone could relate to having all these like Zoom meetings and Zoom quizzes where someone would be on mute and wouldn't realize, or someone wasn't interested, or there was like a whole like meme generation out of this that has just completely passed you by.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm officially old.
How you doing?
Good, man. How you been?
I'm all right. How was it called? King of the North?
Yeah, King of the North. Yep.
How was that at the weekend?
It was good. It was small. It was pretty much just like local session, pretty much like all the people from the Boston, Rhode Island, maybe New Hampshire, maybe a few from Maine came out. It was more like a session with friends. It was a pretty good time.
Okay, Boston. That sounds like a lot of accents and attitude flying around.
Yeah, I mean a little bit.
Right. Okay. That kink reel you king grinded looked absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to session that anyways back in the day. Like that was just like normal skating back in the day.
Okay. I mean, like it's like a late 90s, early 2000s spot, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't change the fact it's disgusting.
No, I went back there and I was like, Jesus, we used to skate this for fun. Why?
No. And it doesn't. There's no landing.
Yeah, no. It's got a little pad, like maybe like 8 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we want to call that a landing, fair enough. You mentioned that. Did you say you were in hospital and that's why you couldn't do the meeting earlier in the week?
No, not me. Family member or my girlfriend,
okay.
But everything's good. We're good. Everything's good.
So that's nothing to worry about.
No, nothing to worry about. Just a little scared, but everything's good. Yeah.
Fair enough. I hear congratulations are in order on two fronts because one, you've got a kid on the way.
Yeah, pretty soon, like 20 days or less.
Yikes! That's getting real. Then are you starting to get scared, worried, excited, nervous?
No, excited. I can't wait.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll see what that excitement manifests itself into when
Listen, I've been told.
See those bags under your eyes right now?
Yeah.
They're about to double quite extensively.
Yeah. This weekend was practice. So I went like 40 hours no sleep. So I was like 48 hours no sleep. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a roller coaster, but it's worth it. I'll vouch for that.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got with having a step kid, you've got like a tiny insight into it, but it's different when it's like
she's 10, so she's like pretty self-sufficient at this point. So yeah,
that's what I mean. There's a big difference when they're able to look after themselves as compared to when they're not able to do anything and they're not able to tell you what they want or need or why they're pissed off.
Right.
So yeah, it's a steep learning curve, but I'm sure you'll be fine. Other congratulations for Pro Skate coming out this month.
Yeah, it should have been out last month, but there was a holdback due to COVID, and pretty sure they're shipped out on August 7th to France, and then we get them here like maybe a week later. They're going to airship them to me.
Okay.
And then I'll handle the distribution to like the shops that bought them here, and I sold them through my own site too a little bit. So I'm going to personally send out skates to people myself.
Oh, all right. That sounds like hassle.
It's going to be a hassle. Yeah, perfect timing, right when the kid's being born too.
Yeah,
I won't be busy enough.
And people just sending you messages constantly, being like, "Where's my skates? I've saw they've arrived. They're in the country. Why don't I have them yet?" Oh no!
Honestly, people have been pretty understanding about it. I think everyone's so used to that with COVID right now, like setback and everything being pre-ordered and everything. I mean, I don't know about over there, but over here, like everything's out of stock.
Yeah. Everything. But I saw when Frankie ended up in hospital for, what was it, some kind of like surgery or something that went wrong and he had to go back in, and then people are just messaging him going, "Where are my skates? I want my skates. Send me my skates." And like it's like he's updating his Instagram from a hospital bed and you're like, "Send me skates." I don't think he can. I think he's a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah.
So the trigger thing was a bit random. How did you end up on there? Because obviously they're based in France.
Just geez, like in maybe like late 2019, USD was kind of like on the point, like where I'm kind of old. I was just like, I already had my pro skate with USD, and I was just like a flow, like just give me skates, like whatever. And then they get to the point where like, we can't afford to send you skates anymore. Like, at that time period, I guess like skating was pretty low or whatever. And I was like, all right, whatever at that rate. So I just reached out to Trigger, just being like, hey, I'll try out your skates. I didn't want anything with Trigger. I just wanted to try out their skates. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll send you a pair. And they sent me a pair. I tried them out, skated them. And I was like, they're pretty good. And, need a little like work, but they're good. They skate great. And then I continued to skate them throughout like when COVID first started. And they said they got like a bunch of sales in the US and they offered me a pro skate as soon as I started skating them. They're like, they didn't have very many sales, I think, in the US at that time period. And they're like, wow, do you want a pro skate? And I was like, of course.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen many people in the States skating them.
No, I've never seen anyone before this. It's just strictly Europe, I assume.
Right. So what did they, so you said they need the little work. What does that mean?
The skates always skated good, but as far as how comfortable they were, especially like the break-in period was very long. It took me like a good amount of sessions before my feet were good on the beat skate, but like I really liked the way they skated. But so I thought that liner was too thick, and like the tongue was very thick on that skate, and we reworked it, and like for my skate, like all the things that I thought would tweak the skate would make it better. And then like I got the sample and it came out like exactly how I wanted it to. So I was pretty stoked.
Right. All right. So you've got the liner chain, because it's not a removable liner, is it?
No, it's not. Then they skate very similar to like a USD carbon free or something, and that's where I was coming from. So it was an easy transition. It was just like pressure points that it might be just my feet, I don't know, but that like it like bothered me for a time period. But like it did break in. It just took like longer than a typical skate.
I mean, that's fine when you're a kid and you've got all the time in the world to skate a pair of skates. But when you're older and got jobs and responsibilities and stuff, you're like, I don't have the time to be messing about with this. I need these to start working pretty quick.
Yeah, it needs to come out of the box and be like, these feel great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like over the last like 10 years, if I try a product and I'm not comfortable in it by the end of the day, I'm like, there's something wrong with this. This one's not working for me. Yeah. So I can appreciate that fine. Whereas when you're a kid, like you literally tolerate skates making your feet bleed for like weeks. Just going, it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
So you mentioned USD, and you're still listed on the USD website as an ambassador, because I checked.
I actually asked them to take me off. I was like, that's confusing for people.
Yeah.
I reached out to Matthias. Matthias and I are cool. He's a good dude. And he mentioned that he was going to take it off. That's weird. I didn't look back at that to check with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I was like, I'm kind of having a pro skate with Trigger. So if you could take off my name on your site, because people probably still think I'm affiliated with you, which is whatever. But that's funny. I didn't know that.
It's so weird. Yeah, I checked it because I was like, all right, just check a couple of sections, make sure I've got my facts right, and then ended up looking at the site, and there's a picture you doing an alley at Fishbrain, and then like a couple of photos of you, and I'm like, this is
that's
years.
A long time ago.
Yeah,
that's like 2000 and 11, 12. I don't even know. 11, 12, 13, 11. Yeah, I think 11. Jesus, it's a long time ago. 10 years.
So the last time we spoke, it was just before your VOD came out. I'm pretty sure the Pro Skate had just came out. It was around about that time. And you told me before that you'd been moved down from Pro to something else.
To ambassador probably at that point in time, or like,
But then you get moved back up to Pro, and that's when you got the skate.
That happened. Yeah, that happened. So I originally started in USD as Pro in 2009, and then was demoted to AM, but I was a paid AM, which I don't know if they paid their AMs, and then re-promoted to Pro, and then back demoted down. So
it just seems like a very like in what capacity does that happen in any other job? Like see if you get a job and you get a promotion, and then they're like, oh, we don't really think this is working out. Like they don't just move you back down. Like they usually just get rid of you. It's so weird to like move someone about like that, and for it to happen more than once. I can't think of another skater that's happened to on a team.
I mean, when it's been the same story every time with USD. Matthias is pretty. I think it's influenced by the other riders and people's words. Where I'm not very. I'm not friends with anyone really. Like I'm not in with the other pros. You know what I mean? Like I'm in Rhode Island. I'm not friends with anyone really. Realistically, I mean, I'm friends with people locally in Rhode Island and stuff, and I'm acquaintances with all these people. But I was told originally when I got demoted, it was like a group team effort where they're like, Jeff hasn't put in the time and effort the same amount as like Dominic Zagana at the time and Billy O'Neill and the Kelsos, and I was voted on their behalf to be demoted to AM. Right. And Matthias agreed. I guess when he has like 5 people saying this all to him, he's like, okay, then we'll just do what you want to do. And that's what they did. And then all those guys ended up not skating for USD, and I was still in USD. And then they re-promoted me to pro when they were gone. So that's when I got my pro skate.
Oh, so that's kind of weird because around that time, Dom kept having a broken hand and kept being injured and basically didn't skate for, I'm going to say, like the majority of the last 2 or 3 years that he was pro for USD.
Yeah.
Like he was hurt a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when I was on, Dom was, I think it was like my first gun on. He was like team manager.
Right.
But they like switched team manager. Then Billy was team manager. And then Demetrius was team manager. It was like, it's always changing.
That did seem like a bit of a mess because if you don't have a regular contact that's constant over a long period of time, no one really knows where they stand because every new person that comes in is going to want to do something slightly different. And you're like, yeah.
There was even Mark Corte was one too at one point in time. Yeah, there was a ton of them while we were there. Yeah, I mean, Mark, I was with him for a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Mark rejoined very briefly and seemed to just piss off every skater that he came into contact with and left again.
Yeah, he came in like he was just going to run shit and just be like, it's my way or the highway. And everyone was like, okay, highway later.
Yeah, I remember Damian Wilson being particularly unimpressed with Mark's venture back into aggressive skating. I'm sure Ollie Bennett was even the team manager at one point.
He was, actually, because I went and did that In for the Kill tour, which is like Barcelona and France, and then we went to England, and then we went to Russia and all that stuff. And that's when Ollie Bennett was like the European, I think, team manager, and Billy was the American one at that time period.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you weren't friends with any of these people, but I know for a fact Billy O'Neill stayed at your house and hasn't Montreal.
Oh no, Billy! I'm friends with Billy. I'm friends with Billy for sure. He's a good dude. And all of them. I don't have any grudges to any of them. I'm just saying, like, I don't call them up on like a Tuesday and talk about how their day was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know them.
I mean, I'm not sure many of the guys on the team do that with each other, but
I don't know. Demetrius will call me from time to time still, now that he's back in the scene, just like bullshit and stuff, and he'll message me. But me and Demetrius were always pretty tight. Like, I'd stay at his house a lot when he was manager and just skate with him in Cali.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you ever find out who voted you down?
Realistically, no. And I actually think that was the same situation with the current, when I got the skates, like when they're like, we can't afford to give you skates. I think that was like a group effort being like, let's not give Jeff skates anymore. Like, and Matthias was like, whatever you guys want to do. I haven't talked to Matthias about it, and he kind of hinted that that's what was happened. And he's like, I'm sorry, you've always been a great skater, and I really wish I didn't listen to other people. You deserve more. That's actually how it ended.
Okay.
And that was like later, because I was really confused, because I was like, oh, you can't afford to send me skates. And I look at their roster of all the people they're giving skates. I'm like, that's a lot of people you're giving skates to. I'm like, you really couldn't afford to send me a pair of skates?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one. Also, yeah, throughout that period, it's not like you didn't put out a lot of content for, like, I was just looking through it on YouTube, and you put out a ton of skate promos for USD over the years. So
yeah. I mean, I did get to the point where I was really busy with work and everything. I had my hands full on multiple projects at the time, and skating was more, it still is more like a hobby and like an outlet to escape reality of real work, and just like more for physical fitness at this point, where I'm like, I just want to get out and do something to be active. You know, it's a nice day. Yeah. And I mean, it was. Now I'm trying to take it a little more serious, but and I think during that time period they didn't see my focus being on rollerblading, so they were just like, he's doing other things, like, see you later.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that in recent years, given that obviously, you know, you aren't skating as much, or you're not putting out as much content. But like back when you mentioned like you first got demoted, I was like, really? Like, because
Yeah, that was my life. Skating was my life at that point in time. Like that's all I was doing. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, he's kind of on a tear. He's making all this stuff with Nick. Oh God, is it Pisciotta? Is that how you say his
For
second
sure.
name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and like the occasional thing with Sam DeAngelis, and I was like, it's not like
Yeah.
he's not putting out work. And it
Yeah.
seemed like team riders were coming out, like because Montre came to visit at one point, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I would skate. I'm pretty good friends with Montre. We'd skate a lot with Nick because Nick would film all of our stuff, and we'd stay at Nick's house. And Maryland is just like the mecca for skating, has the best spots. So that's where Nick lives, and we'd all go out there and get clips.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can get it in recent years because they'll be like, oh, the content slowed down. He's maybe not as focused on it. But yeah, back then it did that did seem like it seemed like it
Yeah.
might not just be down to skating. That might be
Yeah. A little bit of that, but also at that time period, I mean, I think there wasn't as much money to go around, and it was pretty thinly spread out. You know what I mean? Like everyone was fighting for the little bit we were getting back then, and
yeah.
I feel like, I mean, even if you look at it then, it was like it was good money for when you were a kid, but you're like, you can't live off of that salary, anyways. Eventually, it had to go to the route where we actually got real jobs, anyways.
Oh yeah. That's and I mean, how certain people have managed to keep making it work is a complete mystery to me. Like people like, I don't know, Lomax and stuff like that, they must have a side hustle that people are not aware of, because that's not just skate money that's funding.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still the same like that. It seems like there might be a little bit of money right now for people to make. It just seems that way. I'm not too sure.
I don't imagine just for being a skater. Like the people that I do know that are managing to live off skating are doing other jobs for the company. Like people like Sam Crofts are doing, they're doing like team manage or UK distribution, things like that. It's not just skating. And from what I understand, the skating isn't bringing in like the large portion of that salary. Like the majority of it's coming from doing like an actual job for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know you used to always have that anyways. Like people would work for them actually, actually do other work for them, and that's how they would get paid. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I really don't know.
Plus, the last time I spoke to you, you were working in a casino as a dealer and driving around basically a drug dealer's car. So it's not like you didn't have the income coming in anyway. What were you driving? Like, what was it, like a Mercedes or something?
It was a BMW. Actually, it wasn't that expensive of a car, but it was. Okay. I worked at a really good casino. It was like one of the higher paid casinos on the East Coast, and it was just starting out. And I worked at a larger casino before that, and then moved to one in my local state because I was traveling to the other state to work in Connecticut. And then one opened up pretty close to my house, like 12 minutes away, and I ended up working there from day one. I've been there for I don't even know, like 8 years now. So yeah, that was like right when I first started working there, and I was like my first like real full time good job at the time period. So yeah, I mean, but I was also like bought a multifamily house when I was younger, so I was living rent free. So I was like, I'll just buy whatever car I want. It's like the first thing anyone does when they get money. They're like, I'll just buy whatever car I want.
Right, that's what I was going to ask about, because I thought at one point it had shifted, because I was under the impression you were now, I don't know, renovating houses or doing up and selling houses. Or
I was, yeah, I did do that. I still actively look to do that. And I bought and sold a few houses, flipped, did rental properties for like 7 years before I sold. And when the market increased, and the market's crazy now, but yeah, I did do that. Like 5 houses now. Yeah.
Were you doing that as well as working at the casino?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would work full time at the casino, leave work, and put on my construction clothes and start knocking down walls and fixing houses. Yeah.
That sounds like it doesn't leave a lot of free time for anything.
No. The last flip I did was in 2019. I did it in like 2 months and like a month and a half, and I just worked every day, like 17 hours a day, just real quick. Yeah. It's like standard.
So did you just wing it and learn this stuff on the job, or what?
No, so my brother bought a multifamily like when I was 16, and he had taught me like drywall, all the basic stuff, and I just learned it over the years and a little bit of YouTube, and just kind of pretty much winged it, I guess, and figured it out. I mean, I do subcontract some work to people, like that I can't handle, like putting countertops in and just certain things, even painting and stuff like that. It was just too much to do when I was doing it, but
right.
Yeah.
So if all that was coming in and you were living comfortably off that, why were you even like stressing about the pro skater thing? Because you must have been like, this is not like you can keep your $200 or $300 a month. I don't care.
I didn't. I was done. That after I got the pro skate UFC, I was just focusing on making a living elsewhere. But skating for fun, I always skate. I just love skating. Like I said with Trigger, my intentions to get a pro skate wasn't that. That wasn't my intentions. It just happened. And I was just like, sure, like we can do it. And like I think having that makes rolling more fun when I'm like, oh, I got to get like clips and promote this. It makes it fun for me. Like I feel like a kid again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a target or a goal, or like, yeah, you've
Yeah.
set yourself a kind of challenge, being like, oh, I need to do this project. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, before Trigger and USD, you were on Rollerblade, right?
Yep.
How did that come about? Because I always remember you as the guy that, like, I think of you as one of the like Rollernews era skaters, like the people that come up on that, and I always think of skaters like you and Bellino and Austin Paz and stuff like that, because people used to put out edits and you could quickly tell whether they were going to be embraced by the blading public or not, because they would put it out and some of them would get absolutely savaged. They would get destroyed. They would pick apart their clothes, their arm movement, their hairstyle, their everything. And then some, it would be a mixed bag. Some would be like, oh, like some people like, oh, I dig his style, or da 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 da. And other people would be like, nah, fuck that guy. And people would be brutal about it because they could be anonymous and they could just, they could say the most horrible personal shit.
Oh, I remember that.
But you didn't seem to get as much of that as I think because you skated quite big stuff and you were tech. I remember like what was it, Eye on Our Eye or whatever it was?
Eyes on Our Eye,
Yeah, that were like the half cab topsoul to 450 back rail down the kink. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk shit on that because it's tech, it's burly as hell, and you stomped it. It's not like it was sketchy and you just like luckily landed it. Like you landed in crouched royale.
I remember landing that and be like, wow, that worked out too easily, like for how hard that is. So like I was like, Jesus. Yeah, that's one of my favorite tricks like I've ever done. And that's a long time ago too.
I mean, there's been quite a few I can think of, but yeah, that one definitely stands out in my mind. But yeah, to come up in that kind of that, because that was the first era of bladers like getting on like that, like getting on companies, because before they would have to go by traditional methods of like either knowing someone or doing well at a competition or like sending in sponsor meetings, but that cut out the middleman because the company can instantly tell whether you're going to be liked or not. They can tell whether you're going to be popular before they even send you like a single box.
Yeah.
So how did you get on Rollerblade and what was that like?
I got on Rollerblade through, I think, remember they used to do RFCC tours where they tour like all the skate parks, and then like, what's his name? Corey Miller was the manager of Rollerblade at the time period, and they came to like the local skate park, and I was skating rollerblades, and I skated during their like little tour demo thing, and I skated really good, and they just like he gave me his email. I was like, oh, hit me up if you want skates, and that's how I got skates back then, and that's right around that time period too, like right before Rollernews and stuff.
Right.
And they were like flowing me skates or whatever at that time period. And I think I just stuck with just being on flow and email them. And then the Rollernews stuff kind of blew up. And then they like, I don't know who was the manager at the time period, but like, I think it was just Corey. And then like they put me on like their national team or something. It wasn't even like called pro back then because that's when they got rid of like everyone. Remember when like there was no longer anyone. And then they needed like a new pro team. And that was like, they were just taking like random people that like they never even heard of before. And I was like one of them. Like at that time period, it was like maybe a few years later, like when I was, probably around when I was 20. That's when that happened.
Was this around the time they started doing like the TRS like solo series thing with like Sizemore and Julian Ba and that, or was that, or have I got?
It was right before that. I was on it before they were. Right before David was on, and right before Julian was on, and that was Tom Heiser was the manager then. It was Richie Velasquez became the next manager, I think. And that's honestly, it's so long ago. I got a phone call. It's spam. Hold on. Sorry about that. Spam call. But I don't really remember like the exact details, but and I just like toured. Not even like I was with them and like, did little tours with like Richie, I think, for a while. and then Tom got on as manager.
Then
A year later or something, or a few years later, then he kicked me off or didn't re-sign my contract.
I was about to say, so what did you do to piss Tom off?
Honestly, what did I do to piss? That's the thing. Like, I think just a very unlikable guy. But no, he had Skate Pile at the time, and I skated for Skate Pile, and Skate Pile was going under, and then Aggressimal asked me before it went under if I wanted to skate for them, and I switched while he was the manager of Rollerblade, and I think that pissed him off. Even though Skate Pile was already known to be going under.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like, because I don't know. I actually don't know if that's the actual reason, or he just didn't see me as the image they wanted, because that's what he told me.
Okay.
I don't know. It was so long ago. I don't even care, because I was pissed too, because USD asked me to skate for them, and they offered me money, and it was more than Rollerblade was paying me like $250 a month, and it was more money, and I said no to USD to stay with Rollerblade, and it like prolonged that. Like, I eventually ended up with USD anyways, and I was like, damn, yeah. And I didn't like the image of Rollerblade anyways. Like, it gave me like a nerdy image, so, you know what I mean?
Around that time, it wasn't even like it had a bad image. It just had no image. Like, because after that, they had kind of such a strong like presence with, like, they had people like, I don't know, like Farmer, and then they'd like Frankie Morales, and they had that whole, like, I remember they had like the 2-page advert with like everyone on the team, and it just looked like this massive gang basically with like Santiago and stuff like that. Yeah. And then after they got rid of that, everyone was just like, man, Rollerblade fucking suck. And then it kind of felt like anyone that got on the team was like cursed or tarnished with that brush, because people used to give Sizemore a lot of shit. Oh yeah. A ton of shit. Yeah, people forget about that. He's cool now, but back in the day, people used to really hate on Sizemore. And it wasn't like he wasn't always amazing. Like, he was always that good. Oh yeah. He was always incredible, but good. They used to rag him really hard. Yeah. I remember that very well. I mean, he didn't help matters with the clothing choices, but like they used to give him a tough time. And he was he used to wear like bright orange pants and do like zero spin backflips at like off the ramp and stuff. I remember with his helmet on, when before that, like, wearing a helmet was like, oh, you're not cool if you wear a helmet. Yeah, that was there was a lot of weird stuff. He turned it around when the WRS uploaded thing came on, and then as soon as he decided to dress in all black, everyone's like, oh, he does amazing tricks. And it was like, no, he always fucking did that. You just couldn't look past what he had on. So how did you end up getting on USD then after the whole Rollerblade thing? Like, did you approach them and be like, I can skate for you now? Or basically, I just like reached out to them. I think I reached out to a few other companies beforehand, and like at the time, like NIM was a thing, and I reached out to them, and they're like, you should probably hit up USD. And I was like, you know what, I probably should. And I like, when I thought about it, and I ended up skating. They were like, yeah, cool, here you go. Like, instantly, like, it was like they wanted. Ali Bennett asked me like years before that, or like a year before that, and I was like, I think I just went right back to Ali Bennett. I was like, hey, I can skate for you guys now. And he's like, okay, cool, we'll send you some skates. Oh, imagine what it would have been like if you ended up skating for NIM instead. That would have been just like the strangest fit. Like, I remember thinking it was weird when Montre joined NIM. I was like, this guy does not, like, this guy's aesthetic is completely different to everyone else in the team. And then gradually it changed like towards that. But you being on it, that would have been strange. That would have been a weird look. Yeah. No, I'm really glad I went with USD at the time. I mean, honestly, USD had, at the time, they didn't have carbons though yet, so I was like skating the classic thrones. It was right before it was Deshi carbons came out first, right? And I was like, I wasn't really a fan of the classic throne. I know people like them, but I was like, nah, I don't like them. Okay. I would have preferred them. I was like, what's that? I'd have preferred the throne to the Deshi. Deshi were like the heaviest skates on earth, but yet offered no support. I'm like, how can you make a skate that heavy that's breaks your ankle? When they made the carbon skate that they have now. That was the first one they ever made. It came out right as soon as I got on, like 2009. Right. You're talking about like that would have been like the Kelso one then, right? The Colin Kelso one, or I just thought it was called the Deshi Carbon. I don't even know. I remember when it first came out, and I thought that was it. And I remember skating them and being like, wow, these skates are super light, actually. Oh, I was talking about like the Deshi, like, so like the old. No, I never skated those. I never skated. They were awful. No.
No, never skated those. I never had a desire to skate those either.
Um,
Yeah.
Me neither. Me like yeah. I tried them on. I tried a friend's on. That was enough. I was like, no,
Yeah.
this is not a good
Yeah.
idea. So you've mentioned it like a bunch of times already that you just didn't you feel that you didn't have that many friends in the industry, or like you didn't get along with people that well. In the videos of that era, the Jeff Dalnas that we see comes across as, and I don't know whether it's just because like you're always landing these tricks and like you're pumped and you're excited, but
Yeah.
the video intros that your friends make, or like you screaming into the camera or being just cocky as hell, like
Yeah.
did
I've
not
always
come
gotten that.
across well.
Yes. I know I rub people the wrong way. And I think what happened too is as I knew that happened, I continued that image more and more and more. As when I was younger, not now. Now I'm like, oh man, that was not the smartest move. And I continued that image forever because I started being like, I know what annoys people that I post and things I do, that I continue to do it. Yeah. Which if you know me, most people are like, that's funny because he's really not like that. But most of the people that like have a grudge with me don't even know me at all. Like at all. It's pretty funny. But
Right.
I can see where it comes from. I can sympathize with those people.
Because Billy used to have the same thing. Like Billy used to be really cocky on the camera and be like the stereotypical like New York kid, and
Yeah.
it worked for him. It seemed to work in his favor, but it worked completely against you, because that was like the
Yeah.
main thing people used to comment underneath the videos, being like, "He seems like
Yeah.
a dick."
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I'll
So
still get it, I think, from time to time. And I'm like, geez, I'm just trying to skate, guys. I want nothing to do with any of that.
did
But
that
yeah.
like ever? Did people ever come up to you in comps and be like, "Oh, like think you're the shit," do you? Or like, or they start talking to you and be like, "Oh, you're actually all right. Like you're a nice." I I, I have a
I've had
completely
that.
different
I've had
opinion of
that.
you.
I've had people that are like the shit talker online. They're like, hey, listen, I'm that guy that was talking shit about you. I'm really sorry. Like, let's be friends. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, honestly, dude, I don't even know who you are, but it's fine. Like I don't really take any offense to any of that stuff said online. I was like, I don't have time for it. Like, I just don't even remember half the shit. I'm just like,
Right.
but yeah, there was a time period where I was pretty hated. Yeah.
Because I've been on the receiving end as well, obviously from running a magazine for like over 10 years. And more often than not, you will see the person at an event, like, I don't know, Winter Clash or whatever, and they'll just
Yeah.
do they'll make eye contact with you and then have the eyes on the floor. But the
Yeah.
people that really want to go for it, they'll wait till you're in a bar and you're like, I don't know, a little bit drunk and vulnerable or whatever, and then they'll come up to you and want to start some shit, and you're like, cool, you want to fight now that like, and
Yeah.
it's that it can be properly intimidating.
I've never had that. Honestly, I've never had that. Never. I mean, no one's ever like in person had a problem with me. And realistically speaking, like I say, like I don't have friends in the industry, but I don't have problems with any single person. You know what I mean? Like if I see any of these people that not sure, I honestly normally like, hey, how's it going? What's up? You know, it's not like I don't have any confrontation with anyone. I mean, I know there's people out there that definitely don't like me. Definitely don't like me. I'm pretty sure like can't think of a few, but like Michael Broad probably hates me.
Why Michael Broad?
Yeah, yeah. I made some jokes that aren't politically correct, and that was before I knew that that was a big deal. And yeah, he really went crazy on me, and I just kind of was like, I don't even know what you're mad about, dude. Like I didn't understand it at that time period. It was like new. That was like the new thing, but now it's like so common. It's like, oh, whatever. But no, I have no grudges with him either. But yeah, I really can't think of too many people, but I know he was one of them. Adam Johnson has called me out.
I was about to say, I remember Adam went in on you
Yeah.
hard like a couple of years ago and
Yeah.
posted a lot of stuff, but I do also remember that you called something gay, and I remember thinking, I don't really.
I said I don't skate like a F star 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 at the time when someone was attacking me. And at the time, I'm in the term that I meant that was basically saying I'll skate like a bitch. I'm like, I'm not trying to be like homophobic here. I just meant I don't know, but I was being attacked, and I was like, I don't know. Is the point of insulting someone is to make them feel like shit? That was what I was trying to do, not like. But people got like really mad at me, and I'm like, at the time period, I was like, I didn't mean to offend anyone like that, like Jesus Christ. And then like he's trying to like make me out to be this monster, and I'm like, like whatever.
Yeah. Oh no, like,
whatever, man.
I get that, yeah, but it's one of those ones where you're just like, there's all these words in the English language. You could have just used a different word, like
you know
a
what?
dickhead
Looking
or an
back at it
asshole.
now, it's like, yeah, like shit. I wish I didn't use that word. Jesus Christ, I didn't know that it was like that, but now I know.
But yeah, I don't think it makes like someone up like a bad person or malicious or
Right.
like you said, homophobic. Like, but
Right.
it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it like can put it down to like ignorance or not knowing or but yeah.
Right.
So that but Adam mentioned in that whole tirade that he was like, I never liked that guy. Have you guys like crossed paths before or hung out? Because I know that
You
the
know what's
Vibrolux
funny?
guys they've been in your city, right? Because
Yeah.
you've had a clip before in a Vibrolux video or in a like something that Adam Johnson and Sean, was it not in like charging or something like that?
I think it might be all like the truth stuff. That's because of Austin Paz. Not
Right.
I
It
don't think I'm in
might
charge
have
or
been the
anything like
truth.
that.
Okay.
But yeah. But no, my dealings with Adam Johnson is I've always been like friendly with the dude in the past, and I think the only thing I can ever think of is he posted something. This is kind of funny. Saying he was the Don King of rollerblading, and I said he was the real Roy Munson of rollerblading, and Alex Brosco was his Ishmael. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Kingpin.
I have. Right. Okay. Got you now.
And
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And I was just joking, and a lot of people got upset about it. And I was just like, I'm just joking, but I don't know Adam like that, so he probably took a lot of offense to it. And I was like, it was on Facebook, and he got all pissed. I deleted my comment. I was like, I was just kidding, dude. I didn't mean anything by it. And then that's like literally like weeks later was that thing.
Right. Okay. That
Yeah.
puts it in context a little bit better. But yeah, he really he took a lot of time finding
I was
images
confused too. I was like, weird. I didn't know we had any issues, but all right.
Right.
And he used to like always like comment on my ex-girlfriend's like page all the time and say how lucky of a guy I was. Maybe that's why he didn't like me. I don't know. But yeah.
That's
yeah.
Weird and creepy, but okay.
Yeah, he did that for a while, for a really long time. Yeah.
I've heard of quite a few skaters doing that to each other, or like a skater will tell me that, you know, like another famous pro skater has been following his missus on Instagram, and then as soon as they split up, like they'll start, and I'm like, how do they know you've split up? And
yeah, going back, God, like more than a decade ago though. Like so this is like old.
Okay.
Old, like not like recent at all. But yeah, I mean that's the only encounters I've had with Adam, so I don't really know. I mean, I might have played him in pool at like Bitter Cold once or something.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. I also remember this. Now, this might be coincidental. It might not. You can tell me. But the very same day that Ryan Parker released his USD introduction edit, you put up a post on Facebook going, "Oh, I guess we only need to skate knee-high stuff now to get on teams."
Yeah.
Care to put some context on that?
No, I mean, I think maybe a little bit bitter on where that might have been like the time period. I'm like, I can't get skates, but like at the same time period, I felt like there may be like it's just like a whole new era of skating. I mean, Ryan Parker's great. Honestly, he's great. His skating is great, and like it doesn't matter. People enjoy like a certain style of skating. Not typically that's not my style of skating, but I don't think that. Honestly, I don't think that was related to him. That might have just been like at the same time period, but it could have been. It could have been like a refresher in my mind to see that and just be like, huh. You know, travel, I guess. But that wasn't a shot at Ryan. I don't think.
Okay, I just thought.
I mean, that same exact time period.
I'm sure it was like within 24 hours. I think it was even like just later the same day, and I was like, "Ooh, that was kind of shots fired." All right.
But no, I don't really remember, honestly.
Because Ryan's, I would be surprised also because Ryan's like we message back and forth quite a lot, and we've got a very similar sense of humor. And Ryan strikes me as the type of guy that would have no problem like answering back and giving you shit in return. So,
well, I didn't hear anything from him, so I don't even know. I actually I think I skated with him a few times back in Pittsburgh back in the day. Like, but yeah. It's possible. I mean, there's a lot of like things in skating like that are, you know, it's a lot of the style of skating now is a lot different than how I used to skate back in the day. And even now it's just different. It's just like a whole new style. And I sometimes I don't even know what's cool now anymore. I'm like, is this cool? It's like, what's what? But I mean, Ryan has really sick tricks that he just posted recently that I've seen. So I really don't think it was a shot at him.
Isn't that just like the kind of natural progression of any sport? Like even, I don't know, skateboarding, BMX, like it's going to go in waves where there's going to be a generation that just absolutely huck themselves and throw themselves off roofs and want to do the biggest rails and switch ups. And then there's going to be different generations that go, actually, like, I feel like each generation rebels against the one before it. So
Right.
obviously we used to have, and you can see it in like films as well. Like we used to have the whole VX thing, and then
Yep.
everyone went DSLR because they were like, wow, VX is like really, we're not happy with the quality of the footage. We want DSLR. And then everyone's like, I hate DSLR because like it's all just tripod filming, and people went back to
Yeah.
like, so, and I feel like skating's like that as well. Like people rebel against what went before them, or there's cultural changes as well. Like people get paid less and they're like, well, I don't want to hurt myself for
True.
nothing.
That
So
is true.
I feel like there's a lot of variables in that, and instead of just people being like, "Yeah, I don't want to do scary stuff anymore," it could be people just being like, "Well, we've seen that; it's kind of sketchy."
Yeah.
A lot of the tricks weren't even landed properly; they just survived. Like they're like, maybe we want to take it back and clean it up and do the fundamentals right and build it up again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
There,
I find it quite funny because you aren't considered a stunt skater from that era, which is quite funny. I would say you're more considered like a traditional, like technical, stylish skater. But you did massive gaps and huge kinks and big drop rails. The problem is you had like the Aragon problem where you made it look a lot safer than it was.
yeah. I think in general that's a lot of the skating I do, but I also think that's like 20. I think I'm 26 years in now, and over time you become more like robotic, and then people are just like, meh, like he was gonna land that. It doesn't even look dangerous, you know what I mean? And it's just like it kind of takes away the wow factor of it, where like certain things look more dangerous than others. Like Aragon always had that problem where you're like, I don't know, he was gonna land it. Like everything he did looked super easy for him.
So, but just when you look at some of the spots, you're like, if he just clipped that on the way up, he'd have
Yeah.
died. Like,
Oh,
but okay.
that's funny because a lot of I always say that when you film street edits and you look at the street edit, like I know like what I did, like what impressed people and what doesn't, and like the things that impress people, I'm like normally like I'm like that wasn't hard, and the things that are hard for me don't impress people, but they don't know like at that spot like how difficult it is just to get onto the handrail or something, like those little like you have to gap to it and there's a crack before it and the rail's also like chest high, like that sometimes that doesn't register on like film, you know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah.
like and that's why I'm like, man, sometimes I hate filming a street section because it's like it doesn't get the credit it deserves, especially if you don't have good filming. You know what I mean?
I mean, your last couple of edits have been filmed with one of those like 360 cams. It's
Yeah,
pretty much impossible to get a good perspective from a 360 cam.
yeah,
Those do not do tricks justice.
yeah. That's literally where I'm at. But the thing is, with 360 cam, I can hand it to anyone
Yeah.
and just be like, here, and it'll come out. It comes out. The quality comes out pretty much the same. Like it's got this the stabilizer in it, so nothing's shaky. But like to get something to get a real good clip with, like I have like a Sony like little handy cam and it's good quality. It's like 4K, and it's just like it's super hard to get a good clip like that. And like when I'm at a session, half the people I'm session with are like, I'm also trying to get a clip too. So no one wants to film. So it's like, let's
Yeah.
just do this possible. So the GoPro is like the easiest way to just be like, I can just set it up here on tripod and get a clip or hand it off to someone and we can take turns. And it's just like, that's why I've gone that route,
So there's no one in your area coming up that's like keen to make videos or like film, like as in they've actually taken an interest in filming, because it seems like every scene anywhere, even my local one, you'll have like one or two guys that are like, yeah, like I've got an interest in this, or like I love how just gathering footage or whatever, or putting it together or editing it. No, there's no one like that in your local area anymore.
No one I skate with really does it. The only like my buddy Paul is a good filmer, but half the time he's like, "Can you hurry up and land this trick so we can go fishing?" Like his mind is elsewhere. He doesn't want to film. He's like, "Can you hurry up and be done already?" And it just kills the vibe. I'm like, "Oh God," and that's why I'm like, "Forget it. I'd rather put it on a tripod and film myself." You know what I mean?
Right.
Sam DeAngelis is not too far away. He's in New Jersey. It's like 3 hours from me. I believe he might come up this weekend to film. So
Okay.
we're gonna get clipped again. So I'm looking forward to having a reel, like someone that's just there to film.
Yeah. See, I think that is one of the problems as well. When you get older, it's like people just have different priorities, or they've got less time to go out skating. So that you're like,
Oh,
do you mind just like taking 45 minutes at your time while I completely destroy myself trying to skate this? And they're like,
yeah.
no. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
And thing, like, I don't blame my buddy Paul. He works like 50 hours a week. He wants to go do his thing. He doesn't want to film me. Like, why would he want to? Like, I don't blame him at all. Like, that's fair enough, you know?
Yeah. We skipped past it, but I always like remember some of like the massive kink rails that you did. Obviously the Vermont one that you ended up driving. You went, what was it? You broke something the first time and had to drive back, or you broke your
I,
hand or your wrist or something?
I didn't break anything. I went and got x-rays and they're like, no, you didn't break anything, but I must have torn some like ligaments in my hand because that my hand was like destroyed for fucking months after that. Like I couldn't even use it. So it was probably worse than breaking it.
I
But
was about to say, messing up, whatever,
yeah,
like tendons or whatever, it can end up taking longer on a break.
yeah, it was really bad. I remember being like in that brace for like months and months and just always like re-injuring it because it was just one of those things. I didn't give it time because I kept skating. But
I was about to say, because
yeah,
you were wearing the hand brace the second time you went and when you actually did it.
yeah, and that was like a few months later. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yep.
Did you break your hand the second time? Because you like came off the rail and no.
No, I didn't break it. I didn't even injure it really. I broke the wrist guard. It like ripped off my hand.
Right. Okay. How do you find such a like is Vermont near you?
No, we were going to the Montreal Classic and we're driving up, and Burlington, Vermont is like a huge snowboard town. I think Burton Snowboards is there, and some snowboarder half of that rail. So I don't know if someone I was with knew about it and was like, oh, check out this rail, or we stumbled across it because we stopped to get food or something. But I'm pretty sure someone had to know about it because it's like really kind of out of the way a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like such a random location, and it's not like Google Maps was a thing then, so it's not like he was just hunting around and went, "Oh, we need to go and check this out." Like that.
I know that Gabe Holm, I think, went to school there, and the people were friends with Gabe Holm and the dude that runs Thorough, and they just knew about it, and they took me there because they knew I like drop rail. Yeah, pretty sure it was something like that. Yeah.
And then the other one I think of is what was it? Is it a quadruple kink or whatever? The one on the right that just goes off it looks like it comes off a motorway or something.
It's off the highway. It's a highway bridge.
It was 4 down rails, right?
3. It's double kink, so it's 3 down. Yeah.
3. Like, what height are we talking from the top of that? Because I can't tell if it's perspective, but it looks like a 4-story building in terms of height.
It's like it's 3-story buildings, probably 30 plus feet around that. Yeah.
So why? Like who walks past that and goes, that's a spot?
There used to be like a hammer list in Rhode Island, like someone made like all these hammer spots, and like it was like, and like I remember being like trying to like check them off and like doing them all, and that was one of them. And I remember seeing that rail like way before, and I was like, man, I don't know if that's possible, but one day I'm gonna try that. And then I remember the night before I was partying with my friends, like, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And they're like, no way. I'm like, I'm going to do that. And then I just went there the next day, and it literally took me hours to just work the courage to get over the drop side. Like, I think I tried it for 2 hours. And by the time I was done, my Royale was like a real grippy, like galvanized rail that like ate my frame up. By the time my Royale and frontside groove was like, it was almost just completely to the boot at that point. By the time I finished the rail.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you ever come off early on the drop side?
Never. At that time period, I was really good at like controlling like which side it landed on and like even my weight in a certain way. But yeah, no, not once. I stayed steer side the whole time.
Have your parents ever seen that clip?
Pretty sure they have. I actually don't know. At that time period, definitely not then, but by now they might have. Yeah.
And yeah, your mum has not slapped the shit out of you because
that's pretty stupid. That rail is no longer doable. They changed it. I mean, it's probably still doable, but now it's even higher. They made like it must have been unsafe for her, like that amount of drop with how low the rail was, and now they added a rail on top of the rail.
Right. I mean,
yeah,
it was barely doable back then because you're the only one that's done it as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I'm sure Carlos or someone like that would have done it.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you think was bigger? The kink rail that Carlos does in his VG section, the one where he ends up like there's like the guy fighting at the bottom.
Bottom?
Or the one you did?
I don't know. They're pretty. His was really big and steep. It was like it was different. It was his was a single kink, but it was a longer down and steeper. It was like a really sharp kink.
But yours had more kinks.
Yeah, mine was probably taller, but I don't know about more difficult because it was more mellow. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I think there's an argument either way there.
I don't. I feel like Carlos has done other rails that were huge though. Anyways, and he frontside that one that like in California that like Lyle Chevette got like killed on. Like he went over and like collapsed a lung or something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, getting a phone call. Sorry. But yeah.
Did Carlos get to the end of that one? I remember him bailing. I can't remember.
But he bailed steer side. But I thought he did that. No,
Maybe he did.
I don't know. That was like Fruit Booter, right? I don't know what that was in.
Just
yeah.
I do know the one you mean. Yeah, because Lyle Shivak just drops from like the top.
Yeah, and he falls like on his back here.
Yeah, that's horrendous. Yeah, that's one of those clips that you can feel just from watching it. Yeah. Yeah, no way. That's no. So yeah, it's just quite funny when you look back and stuff on that, and you think, how was doing stuff like that that became like a viral video for a while. Like it seemed like every couple of years that would resurface. Yet it's still not Jeff Dalnas stunt skater. It's like Jeff Dalnas, like stylish handrail guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought I always liked bigger like hammer type tricks like that. So I used to always kind of look for that. Even when I'm like, if you look at my younger sections when I was like a kid, I would try to do drop rails like that. When that came about, that was like my main focus. I always liked a big drop rail. But I don't know. I just I think when you're just skate, like I mostly skate street and just rails mostly. So it's just like kind of like inevitable that you're going to do tech tricks too. You know what I mean?
I mean, you say that, but I've seen you stomp very big gaps as well. I can't remember what edit it is, I think it's one of the carbon free ones. And I know like Montre gives you a high five at the end, but you basically gap over a rail. And I was not prepared for the drop on the other side. Like,
yeah.
Like the fisheye goes up, and I'm like, that is a long way down.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that was in Maryland. Yeah.
That's one of those ones where you've got time in the air to contemplate the landing. And you're like, oh, I've changed my mind. Oh, it's too late. I'm going.
I've never seen myself as a gap skater, but you skate with people like Montre, and you're like, the gaps he's done is gigantic. Like, so I've always been like, oh, everything I do is kind of tiny compared to that,
Yeah, but there's something wrong with him. Like there's something wrong with his knees. Like they don't seem to age. So
definitely. Got like springs in them still. He like lands the trick, bounces up in 360s. I'm like, it's like that.
Yeah. I don't know what age he is now, but like he's still misty flipping off handrails, and that's just not right.
He's like a year younger than me. I'm 35, so he's probably like 34.
Okay. Yeah. But in skate years and regular human pedestrian years are completely different things, because a 30-year-old skater is going to have the back of like at least a 40-year-old pedestrian.
Oh yeah, I'm already at that. My knees are destroyed. Especially my left knee. I have to wear a brace. It's like I'm just like, ugh.
So you've mentioned before, like earlier, that there's just elements of like modern skating that you don't get, or like you don't enjoy watching. Is there any modern like skating that you do get, like enjoy, or like people who come out with new sections in recent years and you're like, oh, I'm really into that?
I think like if you look at the details, like something like Niles does, I'm like, he does like this. He has this clip on Instagram. It's so sick, where he does like switch sole to top acid and backslides a step, then toe rolls the last step. Have you seen that on his Instagram?
About Nils Janssens?
Yeah.
I probably have. I just can't remember it. What did you say the trick was?
It's just like a little curve. He does like switch sole or whatever, right foot sole, left foot top acid, backslides a step. It's like this. It's like a 45-degree angle, like from like the step, and then he like. It's just really, it's like, I watched that clip like 1,000 times to be like, wait, I can't even tell what happened. And then he has like a still frame of each one, and you can see like all the detail that goes into it. And it's crazy. Yeah. Look at his Instagram account and check that out. It's really sick.
So that goes against what you've just previously said though, saying that like you don't like the little stuff, or you don't get it, or you don't think it's hard, but then he grinds a curb and you're like, that's amazing.
I've never, it's not, I look at that and I go, I would never think to do that. Like I would never like come across as something I would do, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, that was really sick. No, I didn't say I hate that skating, or it's not like, just not my style of skating, but like if other people do it and make it look cool, it's cool. You know what I mean?
Okay. So apart from that one Nils Jansson's clip, is there anything else that you're like into, or?
I mean, there's things that are out there and I'm like, what was that? I'm like, I really don't get it, but like,
well, you can't just like be like as vague as that. You have to give like specific examples of stuff that you're just like, I don't understand why anyone likes that.
I don't know. I look at a lot of Danny Bear shit and I'm like, is he like Borat-ing us? Is this like serious, or is this real, or is he like the Borat of Rollerblade, like where this is just a giant joke? Some of his clips are like really technical and hard, and some of them I'm like, I don't even understand what's going on.
I think like a large portion of that is just him displaying his like sense of humor and like personality, but
Right.
he leaves it in no doubt with certain tricks that he does that he is like, he has elite level capabilities. Like he always throws in a trick to let you know that he's not to be messed around with.
You can tell, especially when he did like some clip he does, like it's like frontside 360 frontside, like rail to ledge or something in one of his edits. And I'm like, it's like,
yeah.
You know,
but yeah, like I know the one you mean, but
yeah,
there's, what was it? Is it Coast to the Bank or Express? There's one where, yeah, there's a lot of like the kind of like mess around skating that you mentioned, but then at the end he just does a monster length gap off a set of stairs and like clears the flat by like 50 feet just to let you. He's like, I've got no problem going Mach 10 and just hucking myself.
Yeah, but there's certain styles that I'm like, not for me, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm also at the point too where like skating, like I said, is more of like an outlet to just escape real life. So I honestly, I don't even watch edits as of lately. I just browse Instagram. Whatever comes up in my feed comes up in my feed for the most part. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm up current with the most recent skating things that have happened. I did watch, I think, new Carlos's edits, but that's like my style of skating.
I was going to say, because there is the type of skating that you do enjoy, there are still various examples of that still happening.
Carlos is amazing. Like seriously, the shit he does is like, I'm like, oh my god, he's like all the true spin tricks on like steep down rails and hurricane topsoul, like gapping kinks and just disasters. I mean, the spot selection is just amazing. I mean, he lives in like Spain, right? Like Barcelona.
It's all, I think the majority of it's in Barcelona. Yeah. Like this, I wouldn't say the spot selection was amazing. I would say it's terrifying. Like he true spins steep chrome, kink rails that should not be true. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I like. I like seeing that. Like where you're like, wow, like if he missed that, he'd be screwed. Like that's, really that stuff. Like.
Oh, so someone told me recently, and I don't know if it's true, but someone told me that they saw him in the airport when they were going back from Barcelona, and he's a baggage attendant. Like he's one of those like guys that takes the baggage from like the carousel onto the plane. And I'm like, that's quite like, I would imagine that's quite like long manual labor, like working 10, 12-hour shifts. And then on his days off, just goes and absolutely destroys his body on the street. And I'm like, that's, you have to have a very different mind frame.
Yeah, that's a tough job. My brother actually does that here in Rhode Island, and he's had like wrist surgery after wrist surgery. He's not a skater, and he just like his body's pretty beat up from doing that. Yeah,
one of my friends does it here, and I'm like, that's tough going. But to do that and then be that type of skater, like you must go into work in serious discomfort sometimes.
Yeah, you have a bad day skating, you hurt your wrist, and then you got to lift up a 50-pound bag and throw it in an airplane 1,000 times over. That's a rough day.
Yeah. But yeah, there's other examples that like skaters like Sam Crofts and Michelle Prado, like there's people still doing the type of skating that you like. It's just not the predominant form anymore. There's just a lot more variety. And I just find it quite funny when people are like, oh, like skating's changed and it's soft now. And you're like, there's loads of people still like doing that. It's just not everyone.
Yeah. I mean, Eugen's doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing both technical, creative, and crazy, all in one.
Plus, it's like how that generation of skater that did all that stuff like you did, you were one of the lucky ones that got away unscathed and can still skate. A lot of people from that generation are physically incapable of still skating.
Right, that is true.
So
they're
it's
still
like,
Howard's still from the same era as me, and he's still skating.
are you talking about Jeff Howard?
Yeah,
Who's on his third surgery of like the last, what, 5 years?
Jeff used to always say how he never got injured or like whatever. He never had any real injuries, but that was like, I haven't seen him in like 10 years, but you're right. He had wrist surgery. I remember that recently. And I don't know if he did something else, but I did see a podcast where he was like talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen a video where he's like, oh, I've never broken a bone. But then it turns out he had one of those like bone growths, and he's like, yeah, from having so many injuries, and he had to have his ankle done. And now I'm pretty sure he's just broke his hand.
Really? I didn't know that.
I'm almost certain he broke his hand this week because I'm sure he put something up on Instagram being like, "Oh, I got lucky. It was like I don't know, a clean break or something." But yeah, he's just came back from ankle surgery and now he's broke his hand.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen or talked to him since 2012, but I remember that was like his skating he's done hammers and technical tricks. I say it's very similar, and he was like one of those back in like 2012. He's like, I never even gotten hurt and been to the hospital before from skating. And at that point in time, I'm like, I've broken every bone and been to the hospital from skating. So I was like, you lucky fuck.
I didn't realize you were one of those guys. I didn't think you'd picked up many injuries over the years. I knew that you had injuries that took you off skates and like, took a while to heal, but I didn't realize they were like broken bone, like A&E type injuries.
Had a bad year, like really bad year. I start the year off, I think I like smashed my head and got like 15 stitches over my eye. Then I broke my right arm. Then I broke my left arm, and then I ruptured my spleen. That was terrible. And I broke my left leg all in 1 year.
How does someone rupture their spleen?
I belly flopped off of a handrail and just like completely like internal bleeding. Like pretty much instantly I knew there was something wrong, because when I was breathing in, I was like, this kills every time I take a breath. And so I went to the doctors, and they were like, you got to go to the hospital.
Okay, and what was the outcome of that? How long did that take to recover from?
Oh, like 3 or 4 months.
Right. That spleen. I've broken quite a few things, but it's never hurt too bad. You just know it's not right. But spleen's a scary one. Spleen's like a life ender.
No, actually, I think you don't even need your spleen. They're like contemplating taking it out. They're like, we could take it out, but we're just like wait and see how much blood you lose, and then we'll decide.
Internal bleeding of the spleen, that sounds to me like a critical injury.
I mean, I'm sure it could be, but yeah, it was close. I was in the ICU and stuff for days, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was pretty serious.
Yeah, it was serious. Yeah, I had 8 days in the hospital. Yeah.
Is that the worst one, or has there been?
That was the worst one, but breaking my leg sucked. That was really bad too. I remember coming back from like breaking my leg was almost like relearn how to skate, because it was my left leg, which I do left leg dominant for skating. So that one sucked, because I remember like filming kind grinds on rails was like on like a normal like 10 stair rail was like a big deal at that point in time, because I didn't do tricks for like 6 months at that point in time. And I was just trying to like rework my ankle back into place, and it hurt for a while. And I didn't do physical therapy or nothing like that. I was just a kid. I was like an idiot. I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll be fine and just go skate.
Right. So have there been any, like, from those injuries, have there been any like residual ones that like trouble you now, and when you go out skating, you're like, oh, that's catching up with me?
My left knee is probably due for surgery at this point. But it's not terrible. It's hit or miss. If I wear a brace too, but it's like probably like I think it's a meniscus tear or something. It's really easy surgery. It's just like a flap that they cut off, and it's like they're in and out and walking the same day. Like it's not a big deal. My brother had it, he still skates. He's 43, and he was fine. Took him like a month to like really get back into skating.
I mean, you hope that's what it is. You hope they open you up, and that's all they need to do.
Well, a lot of people had it. I know like maybe like 4 or 5 people have had that at our age. So it seems it's typically like this. I have the same symptoms. Like, it's like top soles and bending down. You're like, oh, okay, getting this pain in my left knee. It's not like terrible. It's not at the point where I would get surgery yet. Once it
Okay.
stops me, I will.
Right. Um, so I'm curious to know what you think of like skating, like, I don't know, like the kind of direction that the Kelso brothers have gone in when they've started doing like basement and doing those videos and stuff like that, because obviously there was a time where you guys were skating very similar to each other, especially like you and Colin. Like you and Colin
Yeah.
very much skated the same kind of terrain, and then he like deviated off onto like a different path, or like took it onto like a more like minimal approach, or like going technical and smaller stuff. Like what do you think of the kind of things that they're doing?
I think that's a route I think if you want to go to be, not to say safer, but like, it's just different. And I think maybe you get sick of skating a certain way. I haven't got sick of the way I've skated, but I think maybe that's what happened to them. And they just like went that route. And I mean, the shit they put out was pretty sick. Especially, I like to see Sean. Sean just put out clips, I think, recently, or someone just shared his clips recently, and they're really sick. Like technical. I remember when that first came out. I used to always be like, "Oh my god," and hated on that shit forever when they first started skating like that.
I was,
But,
yeah, I did think that might be the kind of thing that like would wind you up.
oh, it did. I remember we used to always. I had a lot of beef with Colin and all them. So he told me he was going to direct an edit of me skating, but tell me what tricks to do. I remember that. I wish that actually went through. That would have been hilarious.
Why did you guys have a problem with each other?
I don't even know. Just because we skated different, probably.
Oh, right. So it was just based on like you feeding back on their videos.
It wasn't me that started it. That's for sure. It was definitely Colin. But
Right. Okay. I mean,
uh,
they do like they like an argument. That's no secret.
I haven't even heard from those guys and since 2009 or whatever that was, 10, 11. But yeah, I don't really know. I forget what it was about, but they were part of the vote me off of USD or vote me down. I'm pretty sure, like Sean and Colin.
I would have thought Colin would have been long gone by then, because Sean stayed on for like years after Colin quit.
Actually, honestly, I don't know who voted me off. I could be totally wrong about that. That was just what I was told. I was voted off.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't any of those guys. I'm just talking shit about them. Like, sorry if that's the case, but
I'd love it. I'd love it if like Matthias was actually an evil genius and none of those. There wasn't even a voting system. Matthias just went, "Nah, I'm done with you. Get off."
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I actually don't know anything, so I could be totally wrong. But yeah,
Right, okay. So we've mentioned what you're into and what you're not into. What would you like to see more of as like an aging rollerblader who, like, you said had knee injuries, not as much time to dedicate to skating, now that you're getting older? What would you like to see more of?
Honestly, just younger kids skating. Realistically, we don't see that as much anymore. Like, you don't go to this. Not too often you see younger kids, especially younger kids. Like when we were younger kids, there were a lot of really good younger kids, and like there are out there. They're definitely out there. I locally don't see that here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that just so there's a newer generation to come in. I mean, and I would appreciate if they skated like a little bit like we did back in the day, but they don't have to. I mean, that would be cool to see, but you don't see that too often anymore. You don't see any of it at all now. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah, I love how you slid that in. And skate how we skate. I'd be happy just to see anyone skating whatever way they like. If I just saw more people on blades, that I think I'd be excited enough about that.
That's literally where we're at this point. I haven't seen too many kids skating in this area, but a lot of people getting back into skating who used to skate is what's happening.
Yeah, that creates, I feel as if that creates a weird dynamic, especially people that disappeared for 15 years and come back and go, "Oh, it's different." And you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? Like, did you think you're going to come back and Feinberg and Shima were just going to be still going hard at it? Like, what?
Yeah. Demetrius doing the same shit basically though.
Well, Demetrius is a complete anomaly, because he's one of these people that's had a comeback and the comeback's actually gone well. Like a lot of people from certain eras of blading who try to come back and, establish themselves, it's really not gone well at all. Like Perfect examples are Louis Zamora, who came back and was skating with people like, Brian Aragon and stuff like that, and he was just completely out of his depth. And then you had Josh Petty, who came back, and that's probably got to be the most disastrous comeback in the history of blading, because he came back and just completely annihilated his legacy in the space of like a year, with comments and really poor quality skating footage that just probably shouldn't have shown anyone.
Did Petty actually skate, or just you're saying bring this face back into the industry?
No, he skated. He put up clips of him doing like step on back torques on like curbs and like doing soul grinds on really small rail boxes, and he just looked like a shell of his former self.
Huh. I didn't see any of that. That's weird.
They weren't good.
Huh. I didn't see that. Yeah, no.
And the whole time talking shit on current skaters and a lot of them clapped back, because Josiah Blee clapped back saying, "I can skate better than you, so maybe you should stop talking."
He can, but Josiah can skate better than most people.
He's insanely good, but Josh didn't take that well, because Josh has got too much pride, and there was a war of words and threats were made.
I didn't know about any of this, but I was gonna say, who came back and did some sick clips recently was Jeff Fredericks. Love his skating. True top horns, so sick.
Especially considering like he's a big muscly guy now. Like you wouldn't think he'd be that agile, but he still kind of, despite the fact that he's got this massive frame now, his style still seems very similar to how it was.
Yeah, he's really good, and it seems like he skates actually a decent amount. Really, I like look at his page from time to time. There's like a handful of new clips.
Yeah. And Demetrius George is a weird one, because he came back and it feels like he's skating better and harder than he was when he was pro. Like I'm vastly more impressed by his footage now than I was, when he was in, like, what was it, FOR 3 or 4 or whatever. Like,
yeah, he's doing some hammers right now. Like, he is throwing. Yeah, it looks like he's beating the shit out of his body while doing it.
Yeah. He seems to sustain a lot of injuries, but the comments he puts in his Instagram thing are like, it's kind of confusing, because he'll be like, "Oh, I broke something," and then like a few weeks later he's skating, or he'll be like, "I dislocated my ankle," and then 2 weeks later he's skating a drop rail, and you're like, either your body heals faster than, like Terminator, or are you just guessing that this has happened? It's so confusing. The stuff that he writes underneath the videos is weird.
Yeah, I actually haven't like read too in detail what I just see the clips. I'm like, wow, that was crazy. And then like the falls he takes, I'm like, Jesus, that seems terrible.
Yeah. I also kind of wonder what his motivation is, because it's not monetary. So it just clearly seems like he's just got this just hell-bent agenda thing that he wants, and because he's got a job.
Yeah.
He's got a successful career. He knows there's no money in blading, so he's not chasing the money.
I think maybe he just thoroughly enjoys it, and he missed that like spotlight that he had.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I talked to him pretty recently. He was just seeing how I was, and just like basically saying how he wants to come out and like skate soon. That was about it. Like, and he does right after he won that competition. He won Seattle Street Battle this weekend. Yeah. I mean, he was just talking about that, and just like sending me his clips. And, like, it was pretty. He skated really good. I'm like, that's funny that you're like winning competitions now, and like you've been out of the game forever.
I mean, he's hucking himself at the scariest things you possibly can, so it's not really that surprising. He's probably just willing to do stuff other people aren't.
Yeah, he's doing like full cap true top soils and whatnot. Full cap backslide true soul. Ridiculous. Steep like aluminum rail. I was like, what the
yeah Some of the spots he's chosen recently are just like, no. Well, actually, you would probably be like, yeah, that looks quite appealing. But
it's like, wow, what a perfect setup. I'm like, I'm so jealous I don't live over there. Yeah.
So you're living on borrowed time, because you're obviously going to be a father to a baby soon. What's going on with the promo for this pro skate? It's got to be near completion, because if it isn't, you're in trouble.
Well, I should have some free time regardless. I took a little break from work for the kid, and my girl's going to continue to work when she's past like the maternity leave time period. But so I will have time to skate. I have been just promoting just like Instagram clips for now because I don't have a legit filmer. So that's where Sam could start doing that this weekend and try to get like a little promo going. Realistically, we have no set plan on what actually happens. What we get, you know.
I mean, you can't film a full section in your backyard skate park. That's not allowed.
No. Oh no. I don't. That backyard skate park is a curse because everyone just wants to skate here, and it's impossible to get street clips.
I mean, if you're going to make a setup like that at your house, you've got to expect that as a consequence. I'm afraid. Like people are like, "Oh, great, it's uninterrupted. We can't get kicked out, and it's all ours." Yeah. Funnily enough, people gravitate towards that kind of environment.
Yeah, I'm like, I just need to do this promo, and then we can skate here every day.
That you could use it as a bargaining chip. You could be like, "Oh, the sooner if you help me get this done, we can get back. We can get back to my place." Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the plan this weekend. We're starting to shooting some stuff, but I just want to have a legit filmer for that. That's why I haven't really started on that. But I've been just getting the clips I've been posting to like Instagram Reels and stuff, which seems honestly like I don't see the value in a whole entire edit in this day and age, which is great. But like my last edit that I did got like 4,000 views. It didn't get very many views because like people are like, I don't know if it's this day and age, people don't want to click a link and actually download the video. But like a reel gets like, I mean, anywhere from 10 to 30,000 views in the matter of hours. I think for a promotion skate company, that's probably more valuable.
True. Yeah. Because people are more into like instant gratification I've also noticed on Instagram that like a single clip always does better than like a minute's worth of footage, even though a minute's worth of footage can take a lot longer and maybe even be more impressive to look at because you're like, oh, this guy's got like a whole stack of stuff. But if they just drip feed like single clips, it seems to generate a lot more interest. Yeah
it does. It's really it seems weird. And I don't know, like Demetrius is like account, like he just like blows up over time and it's just posting these clips like ever so often. I think that's like the new like way of promoting realistically.
But to be fair, each of his clips are like a circus act. Like every new trick is like, is he going to die?
Yeah. But so I really don't know. I'm hoping we get a full edit on top of promoting online is the goal. I know Trigger wants that for me. That's what they want. So,
okay.
And the skate should be in pretty soon. So as soon as that's in and whatnot, we'll really focus on that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, looking forward to seeing them. And yeah, congratulations again on the second skate. Hope it goes well. And yeah, good luck with baby incoming. I'm sure it'll be a wild ride because yeah, it is for everyone. I've never met anyone that's not like, yes, this is the most insane experience of my life.
Yeah.
So I've taken up loads of your time today. Thanks for taking the time to do it. And yeah, good luck. Hope it goes well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Speak soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Listen to me.